All right, Hotep, Hotep, Hotep. How y'all doing?
We all right. I'm feeling good, feeling strong.
Good. How you feeling,
Absolutely.
Mama?
I'm feeling great.
Wonderful, wonderful. So to everybody that's tuning in, good evening, Hotep, Abibi Fahodie, and Race First. So I am Mama Tiombe Fatiou, and you are here with the women of PLM, Pan African Liberation Movement. This is an urban forum. This is a school of urban philosophy, and we are always straight up, straightforward, and straight to the point. So the women have been taking over this past couple of weeks with some dynamic conversation just surrounding community and Africanity and how women fit into that, right? So we're going to continue the conversation tonight. I'm here with my sister, Mama Gina Fatiou. I'm here with my mama, Mama Shabazz. So we hope that you are all tuned in and that you like, subscribe, and that you're sharing this live so that other people can tune in with you and chime in. All right. So, Mama Gina, what you got for us tonight? I know that you had said some stuff earlier. What was on your mind?
So let's get into it. All right. Tonight, I want us to talk about community, beauty or burden. What y'all think? Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Beauty or
Hmm.
beauty or burden.
Beauty, burden. Everybody
Beauty
want to
or
be a
burden.
part of a community, but when you think about
Right.
African-centered community,
Mm.
beauty or burden, what is it?
Yeah. I'll tell you what it ain't. It ain't no crystal stair.
Hey, come on, Langston Hughes. Okay.
It ain't no crystal stair.
All right.
So, I think sometimes people like the aesthetic, right? So when we
Mhm.
think about things being beautiful, initially we think about the aesthetic, the way that it looks, right? From the
Mhm.
outside looking in. But
Mhm.
once you get deep and once you uncover those layers, it
Mm.
can be really challenging. It can be a struggle, right?
Mhm.
And I think that within that struggle is honestly where the beauty lies because that struggle is what's helping you to grow and that's what's helping you to grow the people that are around you.
Come on, somebody. Mama Shabazz, what you think about that?
Yeah, to build on that, you're right. It is a struggle. First, we have to be realistic that we live within this larger society, right?
Mhm.
And so we are going to be changing within ourselves. First of all, when you come to a study class or when you come to an African centered community, you are coming without having, and most of the times, you have not had the education of what it means to be in an African centered community. So you're
Mm.
coming with all your pre notions and you're coming with your guard up a little bit. And it is a process that you have to go through. It's a process of learning yourself and learning others and learning how to be vulnerable in this community because you can't hide. You can't hide
Yeah.
who you are. You
Ooh.
cannot hide
At all.
what your weaknesses are. You can't hide your strengths either. And we're building upon that. And we pull that out, we shake it up, and we get you together. And we get you together. And it's a lifelong process. So some
Yeah.
may think that it's a burden upon coming in, but you're right. The beauty is within the depths of it. And you just got to see it to believe it.
Let's get into it, Mama Shabazz. I like everything that my comrades have said today. And a bibi for Hoodie race first to everyone joining in. I see some of my comrades dropping in the chat. Some regulars, welcome to those who are returning back to us. We're talking about community today, beauty or
Yeah.
burden. And one of the things Mama Shabazz talked about, she said it's a process. When you think of
Mm-hmm.
community is both a process and a practice. And one of the most revolutionary things that we can do as a people is engage in what we call in the school of urban philosophy, we call it urban socialization. So let me break that down to you. When we think about African power, let me hear y'all say African power out there. Put it in the chat. African power, black power.
African power.
Okay, this power is essential. And what that power is progressive and communal power. It's our ability to come together to put in a process and a practice our culture, because our culture is our compass. Our culture is our North Star. You know, that's the essential aspect of building upon power. It's essential. Urban socialization is not only a process where we put culture into practice, but it is taught and it's transmitted as a group. So you're not going through this thing alone. You can't say you're a
Right.
part of a
Right.
community and feel alone.
Yeah.
You can't say you're a part of a community and you don't have anyone holding you accountable. When we think
Yeah.
about community, the beauty of community is in mutual respect. Beauty of community is built in group interest, being able to
Okay.
rear our children together. Me and Mama Tiombe, we had two little people together at the same time.
Yeah.
Beautiful. When we think about community, we got married on the same day, right, sis?
We sure did. We did that.
Beautiful. It didn't
We
make sense
did
for
that.
both of us to be spending thousands of dollars to have the same people come to the same event, the same sacred ceremony. We brought those ceremonies together. That's beautiful. You see, it takes the I out of we, the I out of the team. It brings us back to that cultural continuum when Mama Shabazz was talking about our way, the things that we used to do. Um, we're being able to recenter ourselves and reorientate ourselves in a way where community can become beautiful to us.
Yeah.
So that's a little something. I'm fired up today. What about y'all?
No,
Oh,
I hear that.
absolutely.
I hear that. Man, that's such a beautiful memory that you brought up of being able to share that day, right? Because sometimes a lot of people will be like, that's my day, right?
Mhm.
Even within the relationship, a lot of times like it's the bride's day and not necessarily the couple's day. And I think that for us, the way that we approached it was it's not just about, the bride, it's not just about the couple, but it's about the importance of us being able to share in that moment with each other, that
Yes.
moment which is deeply spiritual,
Yes.
that moment which is deeply rooted in our foundation and belief.
Yeah.
And when we think about the beauty of community, that's one of the ways that we can cultivate that beauty is
Yeah.
by making sure that we create those types of spaces,
Yeah.
right? Who says that we can't have a double wedding?
Mm-hmm.
Who says?
Yeah.
And so we were able to do that and feel very equal throughout the entire thing, very balanced, very reciprocal.
Because we knew we was consolidating families. That's why we call it a
Yes.
union consolidation ceremony.
Yes.
Because we were consolidating, we were bringing families together. 4 families came together that day to make a commitment to a couple, one part of the whole. Oh my God, it was beautiful. Baba,
It really, really is.
he
And
got a
it's also an example of cooperative economics and communal wealth.
come on,
There it
talk.
is.
All a part of community. It was
There
a
it
beautiful
is.
day spiritually. It was a beautiful day to see everybody come together. And I
Mhm.
know that it was beautiful for your pockets as well. And also for our community.
Somebody.
Somebody.
Yeah.
I love that, and that answers the question in the chat. It talks about what makes up a community. It's what Mama Shabazz just said. That collective communal wealth,
Right.
knowledge sharing. It's a collective education. It's communal child rearing.
Right.
We both breastfeed our children. All of our children have been brought up in this organization,
Yeah.
whether it be teenagers or from birth. Um, when we think about group accountability, I mentioned that earlier. What does that mean to you when we talk about this is what makes up a community? How does that shape the beauty of a community? What does that look like in real time, y'all? Let's keep it
What
real with
does
them
that
today.
look like in
In
real
real
time?
time, it looks like if I were to take care of your children and you were to leave them with me for a day or a weekend or a month, you know exactly what I'm going to do with them. You know exactly what I'm going to be teaching them, what I'm going to be feeding them, not just their minds, but their spirit and their soul, the knowledge that I'm going to be imparting to them. We already know what that is, what that looks like. So that's part of being in a community, that you can feel comfortable with leaving your child with any one of the adults in our community, because you know exactly what's going to happen and how your child is going to be treated and loved and appreciated just as they would be at home with you.
And if we keeping it real, Mama Tiombe, you volunteer at WDC, correct?
That's correct.
And you also pay tuition at WDC, correct?
That's correct.
So when we talk about group accountability and communal wealth, that's it right there.
Yeah.
When we talk about mutual respect, not only am I going to bring my child here, but I'm going to figure out time to give of service. You know, I think I've seen pictures of Baba Adisa teaching the children about cars and auto mechanics. You know, being a Baba and showing up. You know, I've seen some of my comrades mowing the grass out WDC. For those who don't know, that's Watoto Development Center. That's one of our institutions where we educate Black children. Shout out to WDC. Operated and owned by Mama Ife, our comrade. That's what it's about. You see, that's community right there. You got communal wealth because we generating money within the community. You got mutual respect. And you got the group interest at hand. You got communal child rearing because we know that socialization is really education. But that's what I got. That's what I got.
And we also have the Saturday and Sunday school, Schule Africana, where we are teaching our children the same principles that they're getting at WDC. When they get a little older, they come to the Saturday and Sunday school. We're not only teaching them subject matters, because I teach language arts, we're teaching them character development, because that's what we're missing in this larger society. That's exactly what they are missing that we are getting. We're held accountable for who we are, how we act, how we show up. We have principles upon which we build on and which we have to abide by.
Yeah.
And we teach that to our children. That's how we were rearing our children, as well as rearing ourselves as we grow older in this movement and grow older in the organization.
That's so true. And even in touching on that, when you think about the importance of having that that knowledge and awareness of the importance of accountability at such a young age, right? When you're in community, there are many mamas, many babas.
Yes.
All right. Everyone should be caring for that child. So there might be a time little one Yoda running around doing his thing, might not be listening to me, and one of the babas might pull him up. And he might look over, and I'm going to look away because it's none of my business. You should have been acting right, and now you have to get held accountable by the community.
Yes.
And in that is, like Mama Shabazz was saying earlier, that trust, right? So there's a trust that whoever it is that's holding my child accountable is going to do it in a way where my child is still being fulfilled, not being torn down, not being broken down, but being built up into a strong African.
I love it. That brings me to the next question. How do you all, what y'all think about self-perception and how that shapes the reality of beauty and a burden in a community? What y'all think about that?
I think it really shapes the value that people place on community.
Okay.
So many of us have been brought up in a society that has not valued people who look like us, people who think like us. And so now we're at that point, those of us who are re-Africanizing ourselves, we're at that point of building up and sustaining that value. So for someone to have a negative self-perception, that is someone who hasn't yet unlearned that thinking,
Okay.
unlearn those behaviors. Because me, in the years that I've been going through this transformation and still going through my process, I've learned to value who I am as well as those who are within the community. So now I know where to pour my energy and where to pour my efforts into as opposed to before.
Powerful, powerful. Thank you. What's your thoughts, Mama?
Yeah, you do become self-actualized through the community.
Mm-hmm.
You, like I said before, you get to learn your strengths, your weaknesses. And in this community, we build on those strengths, yes, but we help to make you a whole person by helping you. You know, we all talk about trauma that we have experienced in our lives, no matter at what stage that trauma has occurred. We go through traditions and spiritual practices to help one another heal that trauma, because it all has to do with going within. And in this community, you do not show up or sustain yourself in it without going through that interpersonal relationship with yourself. You're going to get to know yourself. And you better start like yourself.
what Naeem?
No, you really are.
You will know yourself. Know thyself.
Yeah.
I agree. I
Start liking it, because there ain't nobody else you're going to be with for the rest of your life but yourself. You know,
24/7.
Exactly. And the key part of what I hear both of you all saying is this idea of ourself not being tied from a Eurocentric perspective, self as in the individual, but self as in my connection to my people, my connection to Africa, my connection to my identity, my Black identity, my Black consciousness. How I see myself is tied to my people. And I think when we really hone in on that, that's when we'll truly be able to shape a Black reality for ourselves. So powerful, powerful, powerful. I got questions today. So when we think about tying ourselves to our people and really knowing our Black identity and who we are, what y'all think about this concept of Ubuntu and how it influences our perception of community either being beautiful or a burden? So for those who don't know what Ubuntu means, I am because we are. What does that mean when we say beauty or burden with relation to community? Peace out to Mama Janaki. Greetings, goddess. We welcome you into this space. So Ubuntu, sisters, comrades. Ubuntu.
Yeah. So it really does reshape your thinking from the Eurocentric perception to it puts you squarely within an African-centered reality and worldview. Because that is a fundamental principle of African spirituality, of African community, of African centeredness. I am because we are.
Okay, all right. Absolutely. And I think that it also helps to just solidify who we are with each other, right? I'm able to look at you as just as much responsibility to me as I am, right? So your well-being is a direct impact on my well-being. And so we have to work in concert with each other. All right. So when we think about the concept of Ubuntu, we have to keep in mind the concept of solidarity. Right. And so when we're thinking about the concept of solidarity, Black solidarity, that is us understanding that we are one and the same. Right. And it's not just a mindset. It's not just a thought process. It takes action.
Yes.
That is an action, a call to action. If I say that we're in solidarity and I see you struggling, well, I hope you work it out. That's not Ubuntu. Because your struggle, what you're going through, is going to impact your spirit. It's going to impact the way that you can show up in spaces. And I need you, when you around me, you need to be whole and healed. So what we got to do?
Come on,
who
somebody.
We got to talk to? How we got to fix this? All right. So that's what Ubuntu should be. Ubuntu shouldn't just be you your burdens on me and I'm just going off, skipping away gleefully. But Ubuntu is understanding that you and we are in balance with each other.
I want to get into the aspect of, in urban philosophy, we talk about groundwork and field work, where we out there, we working on the same streets as the crackheads and the drug dealers and the sex workers. And how does Ubuntu fare when it comes to those brothers and sisters in this foreign culture that's sick, that we gotta live amongst? That's the aspect of the burden of Ubuntu, because we still got to engage African people. We still got to engage the people. And oftentimes it's the sick people out there. So when we doing our food giveaways, a few years ago, we would be out on McCullough Street, passing out hot dogs and passing out chips, or giving coats away, giving mittens and socks away in the wintertime. We can't be so high and mighty that we came into some consciousness that we can't engage with the folks on the street, because you never know. You got to be able to see yourself in every single Black person. You understand?
Absolutely.
Because that's the process. Come on, Mama Shabazz, get in there.
Not only did we stand on the street corner and give away, we lived on McCullough Street.
Come on.
Talk about it now.
Immersion into I see you just as I see me.
Absolutely.
Hamer said, nobody's free until everybody's free. Nobody's
healed. Ashe.
And we certainly put in that work on McCullough Street to heal, to help, to bring some consciousness and dignity and respect to the lowest of the low. People who were truly out of their minds, sick on drugs and other fallacies that we see with this Eurocentric society. That when I left McCullough Street, I'm telling you, I was shell shocked. I really was. But I'm still here and still doing the work. It doesn't mean that it's pretty every day, because it's not. It doesn't mean that it's even easy, because it is not.
Yeah,
you have to have more of a love for your people than you have a love for yourself and for your own comfort.
Yeah.
And each of us put ourselves in harm's way by really trying to save our people.
Yeah. And
we did do some good work. We did good work. It's incremental. And we continue to do that work.
Absolutely.
And being within an organization helps you to see that. You really can't see it when you're doing it individually by yourself, because it's such a large systematic system that, things are the way they are because they were meant to be that way. And we are fighting an uphill battle, but we're still fighting it, and we still have our vision, and we know we're going to get there.
That's right. And what I hear you talking about, Mama Shabazz, is that group dynamic.
Yeah.
The group dynamic is our power. Group power is the only phenomenon that will allow us to overturn oppression. This is what we combat. This is what we're fighting for. When we say that we're battle ready, when we say that we're fighting against oppression, when we say that we're doing this type of work, we must have that understanding that our power doesn't come from one individual. Our power comes from the collective.
Right.
And we have to be able to create spaces where the burdens of life, or the weight of the work that we have to do, does not weigh us down where we feel defeated. So what we have to do is create spaces that allow us to see the beauty. So what's some spaces that y'all believe that we have created that brings about that beauty? What's some spaces?
But we talked about the union ceremony.
What's some more spaces?
That was so beautiful. Being able to see that connection, and then even looking at the concept of bringing forth life. Right? Life is a big thing in this community. right?
Yeah.
When it's time to bring forth life, we got about 4, 5, events. Like,
Come on.
celebrate. We
We
celebrate
celebrate
throughout
life.
the entire pregnancy. You
That's
just found out, you telling everybody we got a celebration,
right.
right? It's
New life
almost time to deliver.
celebration.
We got another celebration. We got a
That's right.
blessing way. Then baby come, we got
Yeah.
the naming ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that when we think about beauty, that's one of the most beautiful things. That's one of the most beautiful things, is to bring forth life into all of that energy, all of that love, all of that welcomeness. Man, I'm like, where my husband at? That was all right.
Listen, I don't share that sentiment at all. I just dropped two back to back in 2 years. But it's beautiful though. And it's
Need
beautiful.
me a celebration.
we
well
still have some celebrations around these babies.
As well as the community coming together after birth to help
Yeah.
the mother and the child bond, the
Yeah.
father and the child bond, the family come together. So we relieve you of some of those household duties that you're going to have to do. The cooking, coming to help clean, coming to, help
yes.
sit with you, coming to help be with the baby so that you can get some self-care.
Sleep.
I was of childbearing age. I missed all of it.
It's celebrating the elders too. We have rituals and ceremonies that celebrate the elders. We have Shahari Kepra coming up, where we're celebrating the founder of PLM. So these ceremonies, these rites, these rituals, they keep us, they hold us, they anchor us, they keep us grounded. I see a question in the chat. It says, is community and family connected or disconnected? Because you can find relationships falling apart because one spouse is doing the work in the community and the other is not. Woo! All right. That's some tea right there, Eva Bimiga. That's some tea. So, my comrades, y'all think about that. It's asking, is community and family connected or disconnected? Community is a group of people with a shared ideology, a shared thinking, a shared consciousness. So we have to be very, very careful as we define what an African-centered community is, because we talked about it from a broad perspective. Family is family. You're going to have your biological family, sure. And you're going to have a set of norms associated with your family. But when we talk about an African-centered community, it goes back to our way. It goes back to culture. Is your family uplifting this shared ideology? When we talk about mutual respect, when we talk about child rearing, we ain't smoking, drinking, we ain't doing drugs, we are not cussing and fussing and fighting and calling the police. So some of those things that are anti-Black, that's not community. That's not community. I don't care how much you love them. You can love them all day long. But when we think about who is truly a part of this centered community, they must share our ideology. What y'all think about that? Just that aspect of the question, sisters.
Yeah,
Is community and family the same? Are they connected or disconnected? What y'all think?
I think that they're the same, and that they definitely should be, because while your family is a smaller version of the community, because if what we say is true, we're all going to be living by and abiding by these principles, then you are cultivating that within your family that you bring out to the community. And I also want to address, sometimes, you find relationships that are falling apart because one family member, one spouse is doing the work and the other is not. But that's when you keep pushing through to do the work. You keep bringing that spiritual union with your spouse. Don't take it that from the first time that you see them not supporting you, that you start to turn and cut them off, because then there will be that disconnection. But it's incumbent upon the person that is immersed in this ideology, that is immersed in the African-centered worldview, that you keep pulling them in, because either they're going to have influence over you, or you, because of your perseverance, that's what I believe, will have influence over them.
I like that part, Mama Shabazz. I love that aspect of the influence, because Mama Ife talks about it in her book, Wake Up, Rise Up Sisters, the idea of nurturing self, family, and community. And when you think about nurturing community, she talked about it being 2/3 of a whole, this idea of yourself, your family, and community. And she defines it by talking about the Black community not just being your neighbors or those who you live next to, but really uplifting, from an African-centered perspective, those who share and do the work with you. Because we know that we have our family, we have ourselves, and then we have our community, and they have to all work together. In some way, they can show up together in some way and bring a balance. I do think it's important when we talk about this connection and disconnection, that African-centered folks must be very clear that everybody's not going to make it, and we're not going to be able to save everybody. And if we keeping it 100, some folks might be folks that blood run through our veins. You feel me? And it's not our goal or our job to say, I'm here to change. I'm a preacher's kid. I grew up a preacher's kid. It's not my goal or ambitions to try to change how some of my Bible thumping family members think. No. If they want to engage in an intellectual dialogue about history and culture, we will take it there. They want to pull out their Bible, they can. It's another book just like all these books I got in front of me. With respect, though. So I bring about tenets that I believe in my community are important, my values, my Aunt Nguzu Saba, to keep that family connection. But I'm also very crystal clear on the disconnect. So when they want to bring out the Black Santa Claus, and when they want to call these presents, and I have to say, that's Zawadi, and we practice Kwanzaa, and I have to remind them, that's the disconnect. And it's a healthy detachment. And we as African-centered people got to be comfortable with calling it out, but without coming off haughty or high and mighty and, oh, you got to stay over there. No, we're going to engage. We're going to go and be amongst the family. The children not in school, the family coming together, but we are going to be who we are. We're going to show up who we are. So oftentimes you might feel that disconnect, but the connection is there because it's all love if we practice our tenets the way we should. So that's where the connection is, but the disconnect is being clear on who we are and our boundaries. We cannot waver. So that's my thoughts. What you think, Tion Bay?
I was about to say, I think that that's the key point right there, is being unwavering in who you are, because especially for those people who are re-Africanizing, who are fairly new to what it means to be an African, people gonna try you. They're gonna try you. They're gonna pick. They're gonna pry. They're gonna intentionally look for that little piece of your old self, so that they can pull that out and magnify it and attempt to discredit all of the progress that you have done, right? And so your consistency and your authenticity and your ability to continue to walk the walk without wavering, that is what is going to further just demonstrate that you are who you are, and you are becoming who you are becoming. So regardless of whatever it is that they want to pull you into, you're not that.
Right.
That's old stuff. We not on that anymore. And the more they see it as years go by, because I mentioned when we first got on that people look at things like an aesthetic, right? Like it's a trend. But once you put some years into it, they come to see like, oh, this is who she is now.
The consistency for me come through.
Exactly.
You
That
know,
consistency is going to work wonders because then that's what draws in the intrigue. Like, so what's this Ashe thing you've been saying?
yeah.
What are they talking about? And that's
Look,
when you know your family is saying Ashe.
they'll
Right?
be saying Ashe, they'll be saying, so who is Oshun? And what the ancestors say? You know, I heard something in my family the other day say, you know, praises to the ancestors. I said, come on,
There you go. Got him.
you gotta thank the ancestors. But it is right. It's just that it's that consistency, Tiombe. It's like those brother in the chat, that's what's going to keep you connected to your family. You know, now the second part of your question, woo, that's hard. That's why when we think about building complementarity relationships and being able to meet our mates on the road, you know, on the path, that's ideal. You know, not everybody is going to be in a space where their mate is within the community or come in the community the same time as you. So what do you do about that? I can give some advice and I can put it out there, you know, for those who want to add. From our perspective, you want to not only show up as an example, so your mate needs to see the transformation. They're the closest ones to you, so they'll know if it's real. And to be honest, if you really living that life the way you should, if you're not being a hypocrite at home and, you know, projecting something outside, they're going to start to transform. I see it in the rights. I see the women going through the rights and they starting to transform. And now their husbands is asking, so can I go to the river with you? Or can we read this together? First of all, women, if you are the one where your mate is not in the culture, you get your life together. You start reading, sis. You start watching some lectures. You start getting yourself connected with a community that has a true sisterhood. Your mate gonna begin to ask some questions. They're gonna begin to come around. Now, if you out there and you just attracted like, oh, I just love this type of person, you gotta check yourself. You gotta check and balance who you are up against the scales of Ma'at. Because if you just going out there to get the most uncentered person to be with because you're saying I'm attracted to this person, you got to check yourself. You need to do what's in the best interest of the group. And you really got to weigh that. You got to figure out what you're willing to give up, because we need to build upon that power. And we can't talk about communal power without talking about the relationship between the Black man and the Black woman. That is the foundation of African power right there.
That's right.
You know, one of the first essays Baba Tamim and I had to do when we went through our relationship process, and that'll tell you another thing. If you're a part of a community, going back to that group accountability, you know, in our process, couples got to go through a process. We got to read together. We got to study together. We got to do papers together. I ain't going to tell you everything, but we went through a process. And one of the first essays we had to write about was, what is Black power, Black African power? How does the relationship, how is it built on that? So I don't wish it on anybody. I want those who are in this community doing this work, because it's hard. I see some of my folks out there where the house is divided. Shoot, old school folks say a house divided can't stand. And I believe it. But that's my 2 cents. Mama Tiombe, Mama Shabazz. We talking about Black African power. What does that look like?
As the creator of life, the feminine power, when we persevere through this, your husband's going to follow it. He don't have no choice, really. Spiritually, he doesn't really have a choice but to either follow or step out of the way. I'm married. My husband is not in this organization. However, we pray together. We have the same philosophical views. We have gone through our challenges, and the only way that we got through it was the togetherness of knowing that we can get through it, and that our union is for a specific purpose, is for the upliftment of our people. If even just one person or one couple sees that we've gone through some challenges together, we've stayed together, we've persevered, and it can help them, then that's a success. Then we have done, part of what our goal is. So we pray together. We make certain that we stay on point together. And my being immersed in urban philosophy and understanding African centeredness has helped greatly. I don't think that I would have been able to be as successful as we have been, even with all of our challenges, had it not been for a guiding principle, had it not been for community, had it not been for a model that we can look at with other African-centered.
Absolutely. That's powerful, Mama Shabazz, because you took it right back to community. That's the beauty of community. When we're able to see Mama and Baba just celebrating 19 years, when we're able to see Baba Adisa and Mama Tiombe celebrating a year, that's a win for us. These things are wins when we have these examples to live by, to guide us, to say, hey sis, don't get caught up over there. We need you to be strong. Mama, I need you to be strong. We need to pull you back in. Those things are what grounds us. Those things, that particular subject can be a burden for some. It is hard. We won't tell anybody out there that it's easy to have a mate that's not in a movement with you. It's hard and it's not recommended because it takes a lot of work. And truly, it's a lot of work on the community too, because the community is in the relationship as well. You feel me? So that's the beauty of it, and that's the burden of it, right? Because we know that community is filled with processes. Everybody is at different stages of their process, and we got to put it all into practice. So that's the power of community, y'all. I love where this conversation is going. How y'all feeling in the chat? Thank you for joining today. Like and subscribe. The School of Urban Philosophy. Share this post. Share this link.
Peace, Black Mina African. Hotep.
That's one of our regulars.
Yes.
Peace and power to you. Welcome. I got one last question before we wrap it up. So for those who are joining us, we have been talking very intimately about the idea of community, beauty or burden. And I want to know from my sisters, my comrades, what role does art, music, storytelling, or any forms of creative expression, how does that influence or contribute to the beauty or the burden of community? What y'all think?
So, y'all knew I was about to jump on this one.
I thought you was about to drop a poem or something. Come through.
So art is, in all its shapes and forms, art is our truest form of expression. A lot of times, regardless of what the medium is, if you're dancing, right? If you are creating a painting, if you out there spitting some poetry, an artist is going to pull that from the depths of their soul and of their spirit. And oftentimes it's a reflection of what's happening with them and what's happening around them. We have art that is etched on the pyramids to preserve the history that was going on way back then. We have art that has been intergenerationally transferred through our griots, through our oral historians, to let us know the account of our true ways, and Gia too, of
Yeah.
our traditions. Like those have been passed down through
Mhm.
art, through speaking, through seeing, through
Mhm.
doing, through drumming. That is art.
It's art.
Drumming is a communication. That is
Mhm.
art. Drumming tells stories. That is art. When you
Mhm.
see our sisters and our brothers doing their dancing, their legs are going and their arms are going, they're telling us a story,
Yeah.
saying something in that art. And as we pass those things down, we're able to preserve who we genuinely are. So no matter what we come to this Western world and are miseducated to believe, who
Mhm.
we genuinely are, we've already been told it.
Yeah.
Because
Right. Yes.
great, they wanted me to know. They wanted me to hear this song so I would know. Right? They
Yeah.
wanted me to see this symbol written on the side of this pyramid so that I would know who I am and what I came from. That's what I think art does.
Come
I'm
on.
and Bob
Yes.
and Imhotep,
Yes.
I'm just gonna park my plane. I'm gonna park my plane right there.
I can write this. Let
I'm
me
gonna
let
park
me
my
go
plane right
and board the plane. Let me board the plane real quick.
there.
Because Mama Marimba Ani talked about African dramatization and this
Yes.
idea of being able to tell the stories, feel the stories, and act them out, experience
Yes.
them.
Yes.
And a lot of times we see that just through African retentions. You know, I've seen the parallels where you might see the folks shouting in church and then they pair it with, the Guinea people dancing. You see the same moves. You don't even know
Yeah.
what it's
Yeah.
art. It's
Yes.
spiritual. It's that frequency that we're connected with, that
Rhythm.
Africanization, the rhythm, the songs, the stories, and even we could talk about our connection to the continent, but we also, I'm from the South. They had the Chitlin Circuit, where they had these different plays and you had people coming together to go through this kind of therapeutic process of releasing this cathartic process,
Yeah.
right? It's a who we are, you know, it's our ability to say, I need to create, to release.
Yeah.
We release the burden and create beauty. That's what we do as African people. That's how we progress. You hear people say it's a beautiful struggle. One of the artists, what is Talib Kweli? He got an album called The Beautiful Struggle, I believe. And it is just that. It's that aspect of this is who we are. Everybody big on Beyonce right now. She did a country song. But that we've been writing country songs. We've been able to tell our stories to music. The bidimba, one of the first, instruments similar to a guitar. We tell our stories. We pass it down. We create these traditions, these rituals. So our art is so beautiful. Black Media Africa says, I just read something today that says art influences behavior. Made me think about this pop music today and how, example, Chicago drill is strong enough to influence even New York City, where rap started. Art is powerful. It's a frequency, it's a vibration, and that's where we come from when we think about blackness, right? It's a frequency, it's the source. We're rhythmic people. Um, and I do believe it influences behavior. We could put on some upbeat music right now. All of a sudden, you'll start to tap your feet and move, and you could be in the most weirdest mood, and you put some music on. It's a shifter, That's something that we have to take in to our reality. Okay. That's something that we must understand, how art really does influence our thoughts and our behavior. So we got to be mindful of what we listening to, right? We got
Yes.
Absolutely.
to
Right.
our spirits with some good news, some good information, So that's my thoughts on it. Feeling good tonight. Feeling good tonight, sisters. Any other things y'all want to cover on this topic?
Ooh, beauty or burden? What my husband
say? What your husband say in this chat? He
Will he
goes,
put a poem in there?
he did.
Beauty is
Yes.
all that is natural in our nature. To be African is to be beautiful for Black African people.
Okay, we see you.
Snap
That's
on my
my
man. Snap on my
comrade.
man.
That's her husband. That's my
Hey,
comrade. Now, what my husband
hey.
said? Come on and say something beautiful. Write a proverb real quick. Beauty
But that's
is
so
all
true.
that is natural.
That is so true.
It is.
And we have to acknowledge that. We have to, especially that second part, to be African is to be beautiful for Black African people.
Mhm.
Right.
Really
It comes with the territory.
Yes.
You African, you beautiful by birthright.
That's right. That's
You
right.
are beautiful
By birthright. I like that. That's
by
right.
birthright. You were born beautiful. Your ancestors were beautiful. Therefore, you are beautiful. And what you create should be beautiful. Right. So
Absolutely.
when we think about beauty or burden, you know, burden shouldn't even factor into what we do. Right.
I love it.
We should move forward in power, in a knowingness that what I am doing, what I am striving for as an African woman, as an African man, the end result is going to be beautiful.
Mhm.
Right. It's going to be a Bibi Fahodie. It's going to be liberation. It's going to be sovereignty. It's going to be power. It's going to be pride and solidarity and consciousness. Right. It's going to be a creation of life. Right. And that's beautiful. That is beautiful. Black Men and Africans said PLM is special. Ashe, Ashe gave the women a platform. That's power.
Yeah.
And that in and of itself is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It really is. It is.
That's extremely beautiful.
It is beautiful. And it goes to PLM honoring that divine feminine energy. You know, this society is talking about Women's History Month. We know we celebrate it all year, but it was meaningful for us, for the Bible to say, hey, we want to hear from the sisters. Y'all take control of the lives this month. And we gave some energy back to our community. Okay.
Okay. We in the verses right now. Husbands.
Yeah, go ahead, unleash. Go ahead and unleash.
What to say? Question. Okay. The juice of the orange was bitter on the tongue, but the sweetness of the guava revealed the truth. Hashtag. I love that. See, my husband be coming with them proverbs. Y'all sit with that. That was deep right there. That's okay.
Right alongside every powerful woman is a powerful man.
That's right.
Talk about it. And I have some aspects of nurturing community that I want to pull from this book right here, Wake Up, Rise Up, Sisters, because when we talk about nurturing healthy relationships in a healthy social system, ecosystem, whatever you want to call it, we calling it urban socialization, we calling it community today. These are some practical things you can do. For those of you who are not in a community, join a community, an African-centered community. You can assist in food drives. That's a way to nurture community. You can participate in clothing drives. Participate in African-centered events. Disseminate information. If you are a subject matter expert in something, bring it back to your community. Those who are out there at different colleges you studying, bring that information back to the community. Being neighborly. Say hey to your neighbor next to you. A simple smile in the morning. Come on. A simple smile in the morning. Give praise to your ancestors and know the ancestors of the comrades. For those who are already in an African-centered community, I give praise to Mama Tiombe's mother. You know, I've been to Baba Chipo's house and seen my husband's mother on their altar. We are family. We are communal. So being able to honor those things. Organize fun time for your children. All my serious brothers and sisters out there, sure, we on the front lines, we fighting, but guess what we do? Every summer we take the children to a theme park, to the water park. We bring the children together. We got Watoto Day. So please believe, you see these serious warriors that's amongst us, they gets down with running and laughing and playing with the children too, because the children need to know that we are family, and that is a part of this experience too, this Black experience. Develop institutions that focus on African empowerment. You heard Mama talk about our Saturday and Sunday school. Put your children in some type of educational cultural program. All of these things nurture the community. And there may be some things I didn't say today, sisters. Whoever want to close out, but those are just some things that I found very helpful from Mama Ife's book that are just practical. So for those who are into the knowledge, this is what you can use to nurture community.
And it's also used to nurture your spirit, so that you can build that within your family, because what the community is a larger aspect of your family. So when we nurture the spirit within, and we nurture the spirit within our children, within our spouse, within those with whom we live with, that is building community as well.
Absolutely. I think what I would say is to be active with your community, especially with those that you know need your support. If you can offer it in a small way. We have a neighbor who she's an elder and she has trouble getting down the stairs. So if I and my husband see her, we kind of walk her down her stairs. If we see her pulling in, Mama, you need help taking your bags up? Because we want to make sure that she's good. And when it was snowing, my husband went out there. He shoveled her spot out, made sure her car was uncovered. There's a single mother a few doors down. He went up. I was like, did you check on the fifth? I like her. She cool. Her children cool. They always say hi. Make sure she's good.
That's what's up.
Make sure these folks that might be a bit vulnerable, that might not have someone to support them in a way that they need, make sure that they're taken care of. It don't take nothing. It don't take nothing from me, because I wasn't shoveling it. But it don't take nothing from my husband. It don't take anything from him. You know what I mean? Sometimes we think that being in community and being able to help support community has to be this big grandiose thing. Yeah. And it really doesn't. It might only take 5 minutes out of your day to be an African, centered human being and act in concert with your community.
Come on.
That's all it really takes. That's it.
Look, Black Meaning Africa said, I'm trying to convince Baba Imhotep to let us join PLM, but we ain't changing our last names again, LOL. Let me tell you something. To be a part of this royal Fatu bloodline would be a true honor and a privilege. So you come around us, you stick around us a little longer, you may change your mind about that.
I love it.
So this was so powerful.
That'll see without in your lap. She's participating in the Zoom. That's community right there.
That's right. My children are saying, what? It's 10 o'clock at night? But this is the work of the women. So to all of my women out there, be encouraged. Just know that you can show up in your most authentic self. You can do this work. You can be on a live at 10 o'clock at night. I'm breastfeeding. I'm making sure the children have fed and ate. Making sure my husband's good. That's a part of this work. And it's okay. And there are days where I feel the weight, the burden. And there are days where I feel the beauty. And that is the spirit of being Black and being a part of a community. You must be able to embrace both the beauty and the burden. And with that, I say, Abibi Fuhudiye. Black is the sacred. Black